Hey people. We in Instagram land, it looks like. Facebook, are you up and running? There we go. Hello, how are you, everyone, on this good Thursday? Let me tag, my husband tags me, so I need to
tag every morning, baby.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Well, hello. I am Cheri Phax, and this is my husband, Tracey Phax. For those of you who do not know us, we met online, so you can have success meeting a good quality gentleman online. My husband...
And a woman.
Yep, quality man and woman. My husband asked for my hand in marriage 7 months later. So men don't take forever, ladies. So if you are holding on for years and years and years, we may want to have some strategy around that. And then we were married a year after our first in-person date. And I tell that story because I want to make sure that people know that at our mature years, men are looking for healthy relationships. So that is our story, and we are sticking to it. We talk often about what made Tracey choose me, and so every week we are going to try to break that down so that everyone can understand and know some of the things that they need to do to get the love that they choose to have, that they desire and that they deserve, and possibly work with me if you feel like I have something that can benefit you on that journey.
And I think what's really important is how we attract that person.
Yes. Absolutely.
How we attract that person.
Absolutely. So what are we doing? So today we're going to talk about ghosting and frustrations in relationships and how that comes about and why we get frustrated in relationships. Hello, my life, Valerie. Good evening. Hello, BW Wakefield. Send us some hearts and all that good stuff so people can tag, share, do all the things. So, a lot of times people ask me all the time, so did you not have bad situations or bad relationships or bad things? How did you get to the place where Tracey you would attract Tracey and you guys would have such a good relationship? And absolutely, we both had challenging relationships. We both learned from them. One of the things that I got frustrated with is, you think you've got this great guy, you're starting to date, you think you're in a groove, and then I haven't been ghosted per se, but then he ghosts you. I hear other people talk about, then you get ghosted. You're frustrated. Why did that happen? I thought this was going well. For me, it was relationships just not turning into anything, relationships not going anywhere, not getting to the finish line. And I had to sit back and think, what was I doing? How was I defining a good man? So I'm thinking I got a good man, but how am I defining a good man? How was I vetting a good man? Did I even talk about what he wanted, what we wanted to do together? Did any of the things that we wanted align? And then did any of the things that I desired for the future, are those the same things? So really, when it comes down to it, I was just kind of dating willy-nilly. I really wasn't dating intentionally or dating with a purpose. I wasn't dating like I needed an education, like I do with my education. I wasn't dating like I do with getting a job. Those things are important, but they are definitely not important with who you're going to build legacy with and who you're going to spend your life with. And I was that was a crapshoot, who I was dating versus the laser focus of me trying to get a job. So I recognized that I had to change that. And, we'll get to some of those things that we did to make those adjustments. But babe, share with people some of your experiences, and especially for the ladies, because a lot of times it's men that do the ghosting. Absolutely. And women do ghost. But
I'll just listen.
But it feels like I hear more conversations when I'm talking to women about them being ghosted and this like being dumbfounded. Everything was going so well, and then I just didn't hear from him, or everything was going so well, and then we didn't.
But men here too. So yeah, men get ghosted too, and I think it happens with us all. But I think same thing we talked about last week when we talk about communication. A big thing for me when we met, and as you know, was your religious and your religion and how do you view religion and all that stuff. So when we met, those questions was out in the open. it's been times where that we've seen had those questions and had those signs and completely ignored them. So some of the things that I was intentional about when meeting my mate, we discussed up front. So it wasn't 6 months later or 9 months later when I began to find out that Cheri wasn't Cheri. I found out who Cheri was very early through communication. So I think that's very important. I think we were very open about what we wanted. I think we were very intentional. You were very intentional that you wanted to be married. Mm-hmm. So I think all those things are very important because up front we begin to have that open communication, that open dialogue. The love language. We talk about love language. Having to know each other's love language, where that 6 months, 7 months down the line, we look like, ooh, I don't like that. Well, you never liked it from the beginning. You know what I mean? But you wait 6, 9 months down the line into a relationship and you don't say anything. So I think that communication line, if it's open, you begin to have those real discussions about what we like and what we don't like. And I think at the age of 59, I know what I like and I know what I don't like.
So help people understand what were some of the, like what would potentially make you ghost someone? Mm-hmm. Or what were the things that could frustrate you about women? Mm-hmm. What were women doing that could be off-putting, or things that maybe like initially they showed up and they were cool, but then they started doing things? What are those types of things?
Oh, it could range from the minimum to the major. Some of the minimum things would be that you could show up with somebody and they're showing up in the first couple of dates and they're dressing real nice and they're looking sharp, and then you come to find out they're basically a sweatsuit and sweatpants person.
So they didn't bring their authentic self.
Absolutely.
Initially.
So that's minor, but then if you can get to the major things, like I was saying, around religion. But those go back to the communication of what I want. If I ask the right questions in the beginning, if I know exactly what I want in the beginning, we can begin to have those conversations. That's the major.
Right.
And sometimes we just overlook the minors and the major, just keep right on down that road. And then 9, 12, 5 years later, we begin to wonder why we're still here.
And or we think that someone's wasted their time. Mm. And I actually like your major and minor. So you see Tracey, and if someone doesn't care about their appearance, that can seem like, oh, that's you being shallow. But that's potentially a value system difference. Mm. And even though it could seem shallow on the surface, if your value system is different and they don't line up, that just is going to manifest itself in something much bigger later. When you saw that yellow flag, we don't have red flags, do not have to be red. When we saw that yellow flag, we didn't address it, we overlooked it, or we acted like it wasn't that important. If you care about, again, because it seems so on the surface, but if you care about how you look, you probably care about how your partner looks too. Mm-hmm. At least when you're out, when you're outside. Mm-hmm. So those are things to think about. So for me, my adjustment came in just having an epiphany around, I am not living the life that I want to live. I'm not living the life that I deserve to live. I'm not having the experiences that I want to have. I need to shift my mindset, and I need to think about what's possible. I need to think about, I can have an amazing relationship, but because I've had bad relationships, I think psychologically I've turned myself into thinking I don't need a relationship. Now, all of us are created in some way, shape, or form to want companionship and want partnership. But if we don't have successful ones, then it's easy for us to get in the mindset of either I'm okay single, which some people are, and that's okay. But usually that's not the case. Or I don't need a man. So I don't need a man. I want a man. And that's where the mind shift shifts. Sometimes we stay in this masculine place of helping someone understand that, I've got all these things and I don't need anyone. And I started to fall into that because I was trying to protect myself a little bit, if we're honest. Mm-hmm. So where the shift came in is just saying, no, I want a man. Mm-hmm. I do. I want a man. I don't need him for some of the things that some men bring to the table, but I want a man. And just being honest with myself helped me do the work to do the mind shift of this is what's possible, this is what I desire, and this is what I'm going to be intentional about. So one of the things that I know was different for Tracey, and he can speak to this, is communication. And he talks about that's one of the reasons why he selected me. I was clear. I wanted to be married, and I let people know. So often I work with women who are apprehensive about having that conversation, or the way they have it is so abrupt and so off-putting. Don't be wasting my time. I don't have no time. I want to get married. And if you don't, so that's just a very different conversation than my desire is marriage. And I'm dating for that purpose. And I'm prioritizing how I date with my time and the different individuals based on my desire to be married. And for me, I'm comfortable with saying I'm at my optimal when I'm married, because that gives me the security, that gives me the provision that works for me. So that's what works for my feminine space and who I am, my archetype. But a lot of times as women, we don't recognize that. We battle against it, and so we just don't lean into it. And baby, you can talk a little bit about that communication piece. How often do people, or what was your experience with me and that difference, and why it wasn't as off-putting as it could have been?
Well, once again, the energy that you bring to the table when having that conversation. And it's like all conversations. And that's why, we talked about this last week, since we met, we have a lot of discussion. We don't have arguments. We have a lot of discussion because I respect her and she respects me. So we talk to each other in ways that brings out the best in both of us, I believe. So I think that energy that we bring to a conversation tells a lot. Telling me that, I'm dating with the intention to be married and I want to be married. It's not that I need to be married. It's just that I want to be married, and that's my heart's desire. If I know that from the beginning, I operate accordingly. If I didn't want to be married, we wouldn't have been dating. And
absolutely, that you make a great point, because ladies, for the men who are going to run away because you have the marriage conversation, they're just probably not there yet. They're not, and they're not your guy. And they're not mature. They're not there yet. So really, ghosting, look at that differently. Look at it as it can be a protection potentially. The other piece that I had to shift was rotational dating. I know some people think about it differently, and rotational dating does not mean that you're sleeping with everybody, but if you want to, you can, because it's your body. But meeting men, thinking you have a good one, and in your mind, making him your husband. You cannot, maybe every man that you meet is not your husband. And so what you do is you put all your energy and your attention on this person, thinking that they're the one. And then if they don't end up being the one, you're upset. You feel hurt. You feel like your time has been wasted. And really, it was not wasted, because you probably learned something that you can take into the next relationship. But hopefully, you're reflective to say, how did I get into that, and why did that happen that way? So that you can do some inventory on self to learn from that past experience and apply that. And baby, you talk a lot about how each of and we both talk about this, how each of the relationships prepared us for the next one. How would you translate that?
Because in those relationships, you see the things that you like and the things that you don't like. And I think, when we come to that place where we know what we're comfortable with and we don't mind communicating that to people, I think that's where the bridges come down, and that's when the walls come down, because then you open up the space to have that conversation. And once again, it's all about the tone. We do have one question from Wakefield, so I think you might want to take that. She said, hey, ghosting is a blessing by us that make way for one, but that wasn't always my mindset, though. So
absolutely.
Once again,
talk about mindset. Yeah. Ghosting is a blessing. Do not have it be a reflection of you. Have it be a reflection of thank you, because you opened up the way for me to have the true love to come into my life. And think about this too. Whatever attracted to you to that person, and whatever made you think that person was the one, there were some things that they did right? So enjoy and appreciate that, and then value the lesson that you learned. Hey, did I not come in communicating what my needs are? Hey, did I not clearly vet them? Hey, did I not understand what my value system was, and if that aligned? Hey, and one thing we talk about too is depending on what those yellow and red flags are. So if a person is 75% of what we want, but that 25% is really against the grain and against who we are, that's not a good split. You want someone who really aligns with your system. Before Tracey asked me to be exclusive, he specifically asked me about my relationship with God. And I shared with him it in fullness because his previous person had not had a strong relationship with God. And if faith is important to him, the 75% that was great about the relationship starts to dissipate when 25% is so important to you. So just remembering how you are assessing and evaluating people. And so, we got some questions too. Yes, get into rotational dating and email friends and associates, even if it doesn't go to the romantic level. Yeah, that was another thing that we were going to say. Yeah. Not everybody's going to be your husband, and that's okay because some people can be your friend. And
that's one of the things about the dating game and what we've learned too. Yep. Some of the people that she's dated, some of the people that I've dated online, we're good friends today.
Absolutely. We were at a play in New York. We ran into one of his old women. She was so happy.
Old girlfriend.
Well, she's a woman. She's not a girl. Anyway, I was like, I'm sure. She said, I know exactly who you are. Yes. We are so happy for him.
And we have a great relationship, friends. We text each other on our birthday. And so even if that person is not your guy or not your man, or not your girl, the opportunity for the friendship and to get to know someone is very important.
Did you guys live together before married? What's your opinion on that? You know what? So I wasn't going to live with any other man that was not going to be my husband. And I shared that with my husband when he asked me to come and live with him. So my husband made a big, big investment in our relationship to make me know how serious he was about being with me. And because of that, I knew he was serious. And so I did live with him before we got married. Does that answer your question? And we were in COVID. We couldn't be going back and forth from New Jersey. I think that's it. Let me just make sure Facebook land don't have no questions.
All right, but before we get off, we had an article that came out today in the Essence magazine, and we didn't even mention none of that. So you might want to have people go check that article out.
Yes. So I will post it tomorrow. Some people have put it on my page already. We were in Essence magazine. We have been waiting for so long. I have Essence since I have been a teenager. I have looked at Essence and have always been inspired by relationship stories and just all the things, all the actors and actresses. So for us to be in, they did an absolutely beautiful job. And where they differed from some of the other publications that we were in is they really brought out the cultural pieces of our wedding that were so important to us. And so yes, please go to essence.com and you can see our lovely wedding bliss story. We did a really good job. And let me take a look down in Facebook land because there are let's have a spiritual mindset, powerful, Auntie Styles for me.
Auntie Nye.
Hey, Auntie Nye.
He the fellowship.
What about if your profile's popping? Well, your profile's popping because you worked with me. That's why your profile's popping. And the ones you like are slow in conversation. The ones not as attractive are more communicative. You need to schedule a session because that's a whole other thing. But it's all in how you engage with people. So if the person that you want is not responding in the way that you want, you may have to use some strategies to get that person to respond the way that you want them to. That's what I can say. And then the ones not as attractive are more communicative. But you never know. Everyone is an opportunity to practice. Everyone is an opportunity to work on how you're communicating with other people. By the time Trey, and it wasn't long, but I had practiced. I had never been online before. So I had practiced with a lot of people before I got to him. And by the time I got to him, I had my stuff down pat. So even if they're not attractive, that's not going to be your man. Just practice. You're not going to hurt nobody's feelings. Just get used to having some of those conversations and get used to, what that feels like. Get comfortable with what those things are saying. And again, if you are having challenges with that, go to www.justthephax.com, book a session, and we can work through all that. So
Auntie and I talked about, what did she say?
We have to do the self work to know what we want. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And she knows that I've done the self work, and that's that's ultimately where my sweet spot is. So for anyone who is having challenges in dating, for anyone who's having challenges just in communicating in general, for anyone who's not clear on what their worthiness is, why they're not having these positive experiences, go to www.justthephax.com, book a session, let's chat, let's talk about my program. I can get you to a place where you can start designing the life that you want, and that can mean relationship, that can mean in work, that can mean in friendships. As you're evolving and you're creating that life that you want, so many wonderful things will come your way. And I literally, and this is not a scarcity marketing tool, I have one spot left. So if you're interested, again, go to I'll put the website in the chat, and you go there and let's talk about it. But thank you so much for your time. We always appreciate your support, because we know you can be doing anything, but you're here spending time with us.
And for good reason.
Absolutely.
You know, black love is important.
It absolutely is.
Black love is an important thing. It's a beautiful thing. And I think it's something that we should all want for one another.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it is. And it's something that we advocate. And, people ask us all the time, y'all show up so much. And we do. You know why? Because we don't see enough of these images. And people aren't talking enough about their relationships. They get married,
the good ones.
but we don't know nothing about them. So we're trying to break the mold, because we know that it's out there and that everyone who wants it can have it. So on that note, good night, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Peace.